So, as an investor, you probably don't want to miss out on industries that are growing fast, but you also don't want to focus on so many different things at once. But I think we can all agree that there are a few industries that are growing the fastest. One of the industries would be considered AI. And if you think AI is not going to be one of the fastest growing industries, I would recommend that you don't watch this video. If you are watching the AI market, you think this is going to be the next market to be watching into 2026, then you probably want to watch this video. My name's Will. For those of you guys that don't know who I am, we run a super fast growing YouTube channel and we have a portfolio that we've grown by over 100% this last year by focusing on the AI market, the data center market, the defense market, along with space tech and quantum, and a few other markets, maybe nuclear and some others. But we're going to get into this stock. It's an APLD. It's called Applied Digital, and it's a data center company that we're going to jump into here. So most people are misunderstanding APLD. This isn't an AI hype stock like most stocks we cover. That's not our goal. It's an AI infrastructure play, and that's a key distinction to watch in this stock. AI doesn't run on ideas alone. It runs on data centers, the power and the physical capacity of those data centers. Now, companies like APLD are sitting behind the scenes and supporting that demand by working with companies like AMD and Nvidia and many others. And the biggest opportunities are oftentimes where most people don't look and they aren't as obvious. And this is one of those opportunities, I believe, that we're going to see more institutions become attractive to it, as we've already seen. So that's why understanding the business side comes before trying to figure out the stock. Even if you're a short-term trader, which we do trade short-term as well, if you ever want to tune into our daily live trading sessions, we're there Monday through Friday at market open. It's the second link below. You can see how we're positioning for stocks and see the entries, see the exits, all the explanations, and there's no explanations after the fact. It's all in real time. So if you want to tune on in, it's going to be the second link below for stock meets. Now, here's what we're looking at with APLD. The market's been growing quickly, and they have grown from $3 a share back in April. We started covering them somewhere around March. From $3 a share, they've surged as high as $40 a share into October. They sold back down into December, and then now they're holding at about $26 or $28 a share. When they recently pulled down in late November to $20, we said, okay, if they're going to hold the trend, they may continue back up. They did up to 35 and then recently sold back down. And once again, we were watching them this last week and we said, let's see if they can hold this level around this $20 range. They did, they bounced, and we see them push back up. Now in the trend, a lot of times when we're looking at the trend, you want to look at the financials, you want to look at the market, the spending, and those are all big factors in the AI market. But from a technical standpoint, you want to evaluate the indicators. For example, when a stock is very bullish, it's going to be holding above the EMA, this 50-day moving average. You can see it's holding above when it's bullish, and when it's gone bearish, it oftentimes gets rejected and holds below that blue line, okay? So recently, you can see the trends, uptrend, holding above the blue line, downtrend, holding below, and then now we just saw it break above, not just a resistance at $25, but also holding above that EMA. So now that we've seen that move we're anticipating of about 25%, and it did happen in about 2 days, the next target to watch here is a support level around $25, but that they can continue, when they continue, if they do, up into this $35 range to $40 range. That would be a 30% to as much as a 50% increase in APLD. So why have we been watching it since $3 a share? And why would we continue to be bullish on it, even though it's all the way up to $28 a share now? It's important to notice the underlying infrastructure that's powering technology today. If you look at their company, you could tell that they have this deal that they recently signed with a large AI company where they're building these data centers. And they built this one data center and they are very strategic about it. It's a 15-year lease to construct $7 billion in total revenue is expected, and it's with Coreweave, one of the top hyperscalers in the world. Now, when you look at what they're actually doing, it's not just about the deals. They've signed these deals to build data centers, but what they've actually done is they've strategically built these huge buildings in a way that is in the next generation. You see, in the past, most companies, they would rely on a lot of power. They would cool the computers, the data centers, with fans. So it would be very expensive and take a lot of energy. And the space utilization wasn't so good. Like, things would be kind of cramped, right? So low power efficiency, it's not really that good. But when you look at the APLD approach, they do everything in liquid cooling. Okay, so cooled by water or a form of it. And then you have that they're building the data centers next to wind power along with the solar energy. And that means that they aren't going to use so much energy. It's not going to require so much for the data center, or it will require just as much, but it's going to be more efficiently sourced to power the data center. And so in doing that, they've attracted a lot of attention because not only are they choosing the way of building it to be more valuable and scalable, and when you're doing things in the beginning, it doesn't really matter. You're just trying to get the compute, right? But if you're trying to do a huge data center, massive scale data centers that are billions of dollars like they're doing for big companies, then the method of which you're building becomes more important. Like in anything in life, it's a small thing. You want to pay attention to the details, but ultimately just having it working matters. But if you're using a massive amount of energy, they also even think about this, which is the temperature. You see, some companies, they've made mistakes. They've built data centers and they've built these fabrication centers for AI solutions or chips in places that are really hot, like Phoenix, or places that get really humid and have very extreme temperatures in the summer. And it becomes very, very expensive, and you have outages and blackouts. But Applied Digital, they're building their data centers in a very cold place. In fact, they've chosen North Dakota, a very cold place, to build their data centers so that they don't have to spend so much money and energy to keep the computers cold, because the winter will do that for them. So when you look at their partners, they're partnered with Nvidia, Supermicro Computer, they're partnered with Dell, along with Intel, so major technology companies, Hewlett Packard, so HP, and some others, and obviously Coreweave and some others. So here's the thing. If they're currently at $28 a share and their market cap has grown to about 7.7 billion, it looks on paper right now like they're overvalued. And this is why the title of this video is what it is that this is an infrastructure play that could end up being a lot greater. The market cap's at 7.7 billion. The actual amount of money that they have on total assets is only 2.4 billion. In a perfect world, if you're really investing in value investing, like we do with, for example, Redwire, which is a space tech stock, you want to buy into the stock when their market cap is lower than their total assets or things like that, right? But obviously, they're a little on the premium side, 7.7 billion. But here's the thing. Even though their revenue is holding lower, it's actually up 84% year over year. It's up to 64 million in the last quarter. And even though their assets are at 2.4 billion, when you would kind of like to see them greater compared to where their current market cap is at 7.7 billion, they have about $15 billion worth of contracts that they have signed in the last 3 months that would, if they continue to take place and come into fruition and materialize into real revenue that shows up on the income statement, then you're looking at a company that is most likely going to see a market cap of between 15 to 25 to $30 billion. Now, in that case, then you're starting to look at a $50 price point to a $75 to $150 price point for the stock. And that's why we've covered it. That's why we continue to stick with it, because ultimately their pipeline of deals is in a good spot. Now, here's the deal. A lot of people, they're worried about Coreweave. So let's get back into the chart here and final thoughts here. Financials look pretty good. A little bit of a forward-looking approach. And then also you have the financials on the income statement that are increasing. And then the news looks good with their new deals they've been getting. But some people are worried about Coreweave. Coreweave had a lot of volatility. Of course, they surged big time on Friday. They ended up jumping 23%. But Coreweave had some volatility here since their IPO, and they dropped from 140 down to 70 or $60, right? That's a pretty big drop. People are worried about Coreweave because Coreweave is building, they're wanting to get those data centers online so they can scale their company. And there was a big delay because there was these rain floods and storms that were happening over in Dallas where they were building some data centers, but not for APLD. APLD, according to some of the information I've got from people that are on the channel that comment here that work at APLD, which is hilarious. I love when that happens. They say that the construction started and continues to be good. When I looked at the local community where APLD is building their data centers there, the feedback from the local community was good, not bad, which you want to watch out for, because if a local community is not liking the idea of having data centers built, they don't like, let's say, the risk for noise pollution or energy changes in prices or things like that, then that's going to be a negative potential, rightfully so, that would potentially hinder or keep the company from building. Okay, so that's not happening here. That's all good. And then for Coreweave, they were continuing to build their data center and get parts of it online, while other companies were delayed because they choose to build in places that are more environmentally challenged, you could say. So with that being said, we continue to hold APLD long term. We're going to be in it, but the short term trades, when they present themselves, we really like to look right at market open. Why? Because a lot of the biggest dips happen at market open, or the biggest moves that can show us the direction of the stock oftentimes happen around market open. So it's possible we see a pullback, or maybe we see more of a validation. I see a $27 support here, and we could see them potentially sell down a little bit here. But when market comes open, if you want to know how to trade live, a good place to start is to either use the Prophecy app, which is what we use. I pull up, for example, APLD stock, and I get an analysis here. The Prophecy app gives us projections. As you can tell, the nearest longer term support is at $25 a share, with over the next month projecting the stock to get up into that $29 to $30 range. That's what we were saying. So if you want to get your hands on daily live trading sessions, see my entries, see my exits, we'll be there at market open tomorrow morning. Would love to see you there, as we do have a holiday sale there. And in the holiday sale, it's not getting better than this. I would encourage you to simply have a look, because the investment is for lifetime access, not monthly, that you get to our Monday through Friday sessions early in the morning, again, 6:30 a.m. But we're there Monday through Friday. Would love to see you there, and you can catch it tomorrow morning. So again, that's the second link down in the description below to join in to StockMe. Appreciate you all. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts down below on what you're thinking about APLD right now, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.